The solutions of assignment 1?
No, but if there is enough number of students who would like to see the solutions or some solution for certain problems, then I will be willing to have a meeting to discuss these solutions. But I will not be giving anything in writing. Okay, so we have started recording. Good evening, everyone. Or good afternoon, whatever. So, so I hope you all like doing assignment 1 and that it gave a help you in understanding the topics you have studied better. Um, so yeah, I was saying that I don't plan to upload any solutions to assignments. But if there are enough number of students who would like to discuss certain assignment problems or would like to understand the solutions to certain problems, either we can do it over Piazza or we can schedule an extra meeting to discuss them face to face on Google Meet or something, right? Um, but there is no plan to give written solutions. Okay? But feel free to discuss on Piazza. Once you have submitted an assignment, you should feel free to submit any question. Feel free to discuss any question on Piazza. Okay? So after the deadline of that assignment. So now you can discuss assignment 1. All right. So in the last lecture, we talked about the block decomposition. And for any graph, what it does is it breaks it into the blocks of that graph, right? And as I mentioned, this can be viewed as an induction tool for graphs or for connected graphs. Okay? So where you prove a statement for non-separable graphs, and then using the block decomposition, you prove it for all connected graphs. And then using connected components, you prove it for all graphs. Okay? We will see an example of this after we study ER decompositions. Okay? So in particular, if you apply this approach, then the base case is going to be non-separable graphs. Okay? So you still need to solve your problem, whatever that problem is, for non-separable graphs. And that means that you need an induction tool for these graphs, non-separable graphs. And that brings us to ER decompositions. Okay? Before we start ER decompositions, I want to mention one thing. Note that the block decomposition of any graph is unique. A graph does not have two different block decompositions. All the blocks are uniquely defined. Okay? And therefore the block decomposition itself is unique for any graph. Okay? And this basically follows from proposition 5.3. If I'm hoping that you have proved it by yourself. Okay? Good. Are there any questions or concerns pertaining to block decomposition? Okay. If not, let us move on to our next topic, which is ER decompositions of non-separable graphs. The term ER decomposition in graph theory is used in a different context. It has different meanings, but this is generally considered to be the base result of ER decompositions that we are going to discuss today. Okay, but in general, you will see some other ER decomposition type results on your assignments that you will have to prove on your own. Okay, but today what we are studying is considered to be the canonical ER decomposition theorem. Okay, so what we want to do is,
what is the name of the theorem? What is the name of the theorem?
We will call it the ER decomposition theorem. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
ER decomposition theorem. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come to it. Let's first start with some more basic discussion. So what we want to do is we want to generate non-separable graphs. Okay. We will soon understand what generate means. Or if you like, we want to construct non-separable graphs. Okay. So let's start from a question. What are the simplest non-separable graphs? Where simplest is not a very precise term, but I'm still going to use it.
Cycles.
Cycles, exactly. The answer to that is cycles. And I want you to remember theorem 5.2, which we will also be using today, that a graph G, a connected graph G, is non-separable if and only if for any two edges E and F, the edges E and F participate in a common cycle. Right? So there is some cycle that contains both of the edges. Right? So in particular, if your graph has at least two edges, which basically means it is interesting, then your graph must have a cycle. And in that sense, the cycles are the simplest non-separable graphs. Okay? Notice that any two edges will participate in a cycle, which is your whole graph. Okay? So now, how can we construct more complex non-separable graphs? We want to construct more complex non-separable graphs, not just cycles, but something more than cycles. Okay? So I'll give you a do-it-yourself exercise, which I think I should have given last time, but anyways, I forgot. So if you take a non-separable graph, and then you add an edge joining two vertices. So U and V are not the same vertex. Okay, so it's not a loop, we are adding a link. Then this graph is also non-separable. Okay, it's not difficult to prove using just the definition of non-separable graphs. Okay.
So basically, the edge UV was not present in G.
Right. So, or if it was present, then I'm adding a multiple edge. So maybe there was an edge UV, but now I'm adding one more edge UV. Okay. So maybe let me write this: G plus F, where F is equal to UV. So F has ends UV, and U is not equal to V. Okay. That's more
So
precise.
F may or may not be present in G. If F is present in G, then it will create multiple edge.
That's right. So if there is already an edge joining U and V, then I'm adding a multiple edge. Okay? Right? So I'm just adding a new edge whose ends are U and V. Okay? Good. This seems believable, right? If you add edges to a graph that are not loops, then you will get a non-separable graph if your original graph was non-separable. Okay? That's not difficult to prove. Okay. Good. But now, remember, we can also take subdivision of a non-separable graph, and that will also give us a non-separable graph. Recall that a subdivision of a non-separable graph except K2 is also non-separable. So I want to use these two facts to do something more complex. I don't want to add just an edge. I want to add something else. Any guesses?
So I think it will be a path.
Exactly. Let's add a path. Okay? So if I have a non-separable graph and I add a path joining two vertices U and V, which are distinct, then the resulting graph will again be non-separable. Right? Adding a path to a non-separable graph results in yet another non-separable graph. Okay? Good.
Sir, if we apply the fast do it yourself, then the second one, then I can prove it.
Exactly. Exactly. Right? You first add an edge joining the two vertices U and V, and then you keep subdividing that edge, which is the same as adding a path. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Exactly. Good. So we have just proved something, and rather than calling this adding a path, we are going to call it adding an ear. Okay? To stay consistent with the terminology that is usually used in graph theory. Okay? So we are going to call this operation addition of an ear, and to make things precise, we are going to introduce some definitions. Okay? Is everybody with me? So the definition is a bit more complex, but that is just so that the statement of the theorem looks nice. Okay? So we are going to consider the following situation. Let's consider a graph G, and let us consider a subgraph of that graph F. Okay? So we are going to say that an ear of F in G is a path in the graph G that has both ends in F but is otherwise disjoint from G, right? So we are looking at a big graph, and inside that we are defining the ear of a subgraph. So let me put down the definition. Let F be a subgraph, and you will see why we are doing it in this manner once you see the statement of the theorem and everything. Take any subgraph of the graph, an ear of the subgraph in the big graph is a non-trivial path. By non-trivial path, I just mean it has at least two vertices, because K1 is also a path. Is a non-trivial path in G whose ends lie in the subgraph F but is otherwise disjoint from F. Okay? So it's a slightly funny thing. The ear of F is not part of F itself. It is actually outside F. It only has its two ends in the subgraph F. Okay? So it's a strange way of defining things, but that's how it is. So what we mean by this is the only intersection between P and F is the ends of the path P, and the intersection of edges is empty. Okay? Good. And what we have just proved is the following. If I take a non-separable proper subgraph of any graph G, and if I consider an ear of the subgraph in G, then the subgraph along with the ear is a non-separable graph. It is a subgraph of G by our definitions, but the main point is that it is non-separable. Okay, so just to show you in the picture, if F is non-separable, okay, and I am looking at a big graph G, and I am adding an ear to F, but this is part of the big graph, okay, then F along with this path is another non-separable graph. So F union P will be another non-separable graph, right? So really the graph G is not important here. What is important is F plus the path P. Okay? I'm just trying to stick to the terminology used by Mondi and Murthy. Okay? So graph
I
G
think
here.
the
Yeah,
solution
go
is
ahead.
exactly the same which you mentioned before.
Exactly, exactly.
It can be proved from those two do-it-yourself exercises.
Right, exactly. So the proof is basically the follows from the above do it yourself plus the subdivision statement plus previous do it yourself about subdivisions. Okay? Is everybody with me? Do you follow the statement of this proposition? Okay? If there are any questions or concerns, please interrupt.
Sir, I have a question. So,
Yeah,
if I take an year of f in g, so in an year of f in g is basically a path,
right.
and path has at least two vertices. So, if the path has exactly two vertices, then the edge in the path must not be present in the subgraph f
That's right. The edge has to be outside the subgraph.
of the subgraph f.
Yeah,
Similarly, if the for any path, the all the edges of the path must be edges of g minus f, a set
that's
of g
right.
minus.
That's right. Yeah.
And regarding the vertices, only the endpoints will.
Wait a second. Not G minus F, because there will be two edges. So it depends on what you mean by G minus F, right?
No, no, by
So,
g minus f, I mean a set of g minus a set of f.
okay, good. H set of G minus H set of F. Yes, I agree. Yeah,
Every edge of the path P must be in a set of G minus a set of F.
that's right. That is correct.
And regarding the vertices of P, only the endpoints will be in the subgraph F.
That is right.
All other will be in G, but not in F.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or concerns? All right. So, what is so good about this result? It basically tells you how to keep constructing more complex non-separable graphs, right? But that's not all. So what you do is you start with any cycle and then you keep adding years like this as you like. Then you add another year. Okay, so this original thing is a cycle. I did not draw it properly. Maybe let me make a cycle in the beginning. So the original thing is some cycle. And now you just keep adding years. Okay, and anything you generate in this manner will be a non-separable graph by the above proposition. Okay, so all graphs generated from a cycle by repeatedly adding years are also non-separable graphs. Okay, this is a consequence of the above result. Good. But this by itself is not very interesting, right? You could ask, well, does it mean that every non-separable graph can be generated in this manner? Or are there some non-separable graphs that cannot be created in this way? And of course, the answer, as you expect it to be, is that all non-separable graphs can be constructed in this manner. Okay? So that brings us to our next point. It turns out that all,
It will be easy to prove that all non-separable graphs can be generated in this manner.
yes, it is actually easy.
Because we can use the characterization for non-separable graph. So if the graph has at least two edges, so it will have a cycle. It must have a cycle. And since so cycle is a non-separable graph, and G is the bigger graph. So G is the bigger graph and cycle is a non-separable graph. So what we can do, we can now find an year of the cycle in G.
Right, right.
And repeatedly add the years until we exhaustively include all the edges of G. And we know that by repeatedly adding years, we always land up in the class of non-separable graphs.
Right. So you just need to show the existence of any year, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just need to show the existence of an ear.
So what we will do is, we will do exactly what you're saying, but we'll focus on one step of this procedure. Okay? So, let me see. Okay. So we will actually prove something stronger. So here is the proposition we are going to prove. 5.6. Supposing you have some non-separable graph G. Okay? And supposing you take some proper subgraph of this. What we actually need is the proper subgraph is non-separable, but we will not even need that condition. We will just take any proper subgraph. So take any non-trivial proper subgraph of G. What do I mean by proper? Just in case it is not clear, F is not equal to G. Okay? So there is at least some edge or some vertex which is in G but is not in F. Okay? Then we claim that there exists an ear of F in the graph G.
Sir, by non-trivial we mean that F has at least two vertices.
That's right, right. At least two
At least two,
vertices.
at least.
Yeah. Non-trivial is at least two vertices.
At least two vertices. Okay. At least two vertices.
Okay? So what is this statement saying? You take any non-separable graph, G, consider any subgraph of this graph, F. But F is not the same as G, okay? It's a proper subgraph. And it is non-trivial. It has at least two vertices. Then I claim that you will be able to find a path in the graph G that starts at F, ends at F, but is otherwise disjoint from F. Okay? That is our ear P. Either it could be a single edge or it could be a path with more vertices, more than one edge. Okay? Right? So in the previous statement, what we did is we took a non-separable subgraph and we added an ear to it and we proved that the result is non-separable. In this statement, we are taking a big non-separable graph and we are showing that any small subgraph, which is non-trivial and proper, you can find an ear to add to that. Okay? In particular, if F is non-separable, then after adding the ear, you will get another non-separable graph. That is the case we will be interested in. But the result does not assume F to be non-separable. We don't need F to be non-separable. Okay?
So sir, here the underlying means that the starting the big graph G must be non-separable in
That's right.
5.6.
We only need F
But in
to
the
be.
previous proposition, G was simply any graph.
That's right.
So, sir, if G is not non-separable, suppose G is separable, then this proposition will not hold true.
Right. In fact, that's a good point. So whenever you see a result, you want to ask these kinds of questions. Why do you need each hypothesis, right? So if a certain hypothesis is not there, then try to remove it and see if you can still prove it or if you can find a counterexample. And I'm pretty sure here, if you remove non-separable, the statement is actually false. We are going to use the non-separability of G in a crucial way.
So basically, for a separable graph G, we can find an example of a non-trivial
That's right.
property.
Yeah. For a separable graph, you can find a counterexample to this result.
So in that case, F did not have an ear in G. Basically.
Right. Okay. So let's try to prove this. So we want to find an ear of F in the graph G. So let's do two cases, okay, to make it easy. Let's look at the easy case. When the vertex set of F is equal to the vertex set of G, okay? So F is a spanning subgraph of G, okay? In that case, how do you complete the proof? Anyone? Supposing the vertex set of f is
Years
the
are
same
just
as G.
edges.
Yeah, sorry.
Years are just edges.
Yeah, exactly. Take any edge of the graph which is not in F, right? Since F is a proper subgraph, there exists an edge in the graph G that is not an edge of F. Okay? There has to be some edge which is in the graph G but not in the graph F, because otherwise they would be the same graphs. It would not be a proper subgraph. So that edge is your ear by definition. I will call it a link because it cannot be a loop because your graph has at least two vertices, right? So because it is non-separable, it has to be a non-loop edge. Note that E is an ear of F in the graph G, which is what we want to prove. We want to show that F has an ear in G. Okay? So you just add, this is your ear you want to add to get your next non-separable graph if F was non-separable. Okay? Now let's look at the not so easy case, where the vertex set of F is a proper subset of the vertex set of G. Okay? So let's make a drawing. This is the vertex set of F, and this is the vertices of G minus the vertices of F. Okay? Good. So what should we do in this case? Anybody? How do we show the existence of an ear in this case?
We take a vertex which is adjacent to some vertex in F.
Okay.
Then we remove the vertex it's adjacent in F.
I see. Okay.
Still the graph remains connected.
Okay. Okay. So you are okay. So let me go step by step. To make sure everybody is with us. So you are taking some edge of the graph that looks like this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. There is some edge in the graph that has one end in F and the other end in the other side because the
And
whole
we
graph
remove
is
X.
connected. Okay. So since G is connected, there exists an edge F equal to xy, so it has ends x and y, such that x belongs to the vertex set of F and y belongs to the vertex set of G minus the vertex set of F. Okay, good. Now you are suggesting that we remove which vertex?
X.
X. So now he is suggesting, let us use the non-separability, right? What we want to do is, we want to find some path that starts here and comes here, and that will be our ear along with the edge F. Okay? So we will delete the vertex X first, and then find our path, so that our path does not come back to the vertex X. Remember, an ear is a path, so you cannot come back to the vertex X. Okay, so since G is non-separable, G minus X is a connected graph by definition of non-separable, right? So this means that in G minus X, there exists a path Q such that Q starts at the vertex Y and ends at some vertex Z, which is in the vertex set of F. So you want the path to come here to some vertex Z, and we don't want the path to have anything else in common with the subgraph F. Okay, and we want the vertex set of F intersection the vertex set of Q to be exactly the vertex Z. That is easy because what you do is you take any path from y to the other side. Because the graph is connected, g minus x, you can find some path. What you do is you look at the first vertex where it enters f, and you call that z. Okay, so I'm not going to write down this whole argument, but it's quite easy, right? So we will stop at the first vertex, and therefore I can include this condition. Okay, so this is going to be my q. And now, well, we got the ear, f plus q. Now, f plus q, let's call it p, is the desired ear.
Sir, can you explain once again why vertex zero wave intersection vertex zero q will be singleton z?
Sure. Of f in G. So, why don't you explain this to me? So I want to find a path that starts at the vertex y, okay, and I want it to end at some vertex z, and the path should not meet the vertex set of f in any other vertex except z.
Yes, sir. Yes,
How
sir.
do we establish the existence of this path?
Because G minus F is connected, we can say that there will always exist a path from a vertex. We know that F is a non-trivial subgraph, so it has at least two vertices. So there will be
That's
vertex
right.
Z in X other than X, and we know that G minus X is connected. So there will exist a path Q from Y to Z, from Y
Right.
to some vertex of F.
Right, some vertex. Because it is non-empty, I can find to some vertex.
Some vertex
Yes.
exactly. Now in that, so let that path be Q, and in
Right.
that path Q, I will consider the first vertex whenever that path enters the vertex set of F.
Exactly.
First
Right.
time,
So,
the first time it enters the vertex set of wave, I will stop there.
and that is your vertex z, right?
That is my
So
vertex
that's
there.
it.
Exactly.
Exactly. So there is some argument here, but I have not written that argument.
So basically, that path along with the edge F will be an ear.
Mhm.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the path could look like this, but I'm going to stop at the first vertex. This is going to be our Q. Okay? So is everybody with us? Right? So for any proper subgraph of G, yeah, go ahead.
Is the number of times we append years
Hmm.
same for every year decomposition in graph?
Hmm. Good point. Think about it. I am not going to answer it right now.
I think
It
that is
might.
not true because the
Sorry?
graph did not have any ear decomposition.
What's your point? A graph does
So
not?
I think what Kapil said, the number of years added for non-separable graph, I think that will not be same. It will vary from ear decomposition to ear decomposition.
It's not clear, right? So, I mean, I know the answer, but I don't want to give the answer. So think about it. Okay, so I'll put a try it yourself,
So
and
this
it
is because
might.
I think that ear decomposition is not unique, like
It is not
unlike
unique,
block
that is
decomposition.
correct, but that does not imply that the number of years cannot be determined by the graph itself, right? So here is a try it yourself problem. Um, is the number of years in an year decomposition? Again, I have not defined what an ear decomposition is. We are going to define it, but before that, I'll put this question here. Uh, is it determined by the graph G, or can you get 2 year decomposition with different number of years? But that means I need to first tell you what an ear decomposition is. Okay, so let's define ear decomposition. And I'll give you an example to understand this question in case it's not clear. Okay, so an ear decomposition of a non-separable graph is a sequence. So what we are going to do is we are going to start from a cycle and we are going to keep adding years, right? So we are going to get a sequence of non-separable subgraphs G0, G1 up to GR, Okay, where such that first of all we want G0 to be a cycle. Okay. Another point that is important, well, all points are important. Another point is we want the last graph in our sequence to be our graph G. Okay, we want to construct this graph. And for every intermediate graph, Gi plus 1, we want it to be the union of the previous graph along with an ear. Okay, where Pi is an ear of Gi in the graph G for all appropriate I. Okay. So let's do an example to see an ear decomposition. So let's take the Peterson graph, one of my favorite examples, or one of the favorite examples for any graph theorist, I guess. So that's our Peterson graph. Okay. And let us construct an ear decomposition of this guy. So how about we start from a cycle? We start from this cycle, for example, 5 cycle. Okay, so this is going to be our G0. Okay, and then we are going to add 1 ear to the graph. We are going to keep doing this stuff until we get to our final graph. Okay, so let's see. This is G0. Now I'm going to add 1 ear. Let me draw that in red. Maybe I will add this ear like this, and like this. This is my P0. And when I put G0 and P0 together, I get the graph G1. Okay, so now let me draw P0. P0 is here already. And now I want to add 1 more ear and get the next graph, right? So let's say I draw an ear in green, something like this. This is my P1. And when I add P1, I get the graph G2. Okay, everybody with me? Now let's draw what we have so far. We have these two joined and we have those two joined. Okay, so we have this guy, we have this guy. Okay, and now we want to add 1 more ear. So let me include that last vertex. Let's say I draw in blue. So I have a vertex here, and this vertex joins to, for example, this vertex. Okay, so this is my third ear, P2. And when I add the ear P2, I will get the graph G2. Okay, oh sorry, G2 was already there. I'm adding P2, so I get G3, my bad. Okay, and now notice there are 2 edges missing. We have covered all the vertices. There are 2 edges missing, so I'll add both of them together one by one, but I won't make another drawing for it. Okay, so we already have this stuff in the graph. We have this stuff, and we have this stuff. Okay, and notice that exactly 2 edges are missing. So I'll add one of them. Let's say I put the orange color and I make this edge. This is my P4. So now I get the graph G4. Sorry, this is P3. So I get the graph G4. maybe I have another drawing, so why not use it? And lastly, I will add this edge here. Let me remove it. So I already have this, I have this, I have this, and there's only one missing. So let me use another color, maybe the brown color, and that is P4. Okay? And what are the graphs? Let's label them. This is G4 and this is G5. Okay, so here you have an year decomposition of the Peterson graph. We started from a cycle, we kept adding years, P0, P1, P2, P3, P4, and finally we got our graph G5. Yeah, Kapil,
Sir,
go ahead.
yeah. Yes, so I believe that the length of year decomposition
Hmm.
is the same as the dimension of cycle space.
Okay, okay. Good. Think about it. So I don't want to discuss this further right now. I want
Okay.
everybody to have time to think about it. But that does not seem to be a unreasonable guess. Okay. So Kapil is saying that the length of the year decomposition. So in this case, what happened? We got G0 up to G5. So the R is equal to 5 for Peterson. Okay. Now the point, one difference between block decomposition and year decomposition is that block decomposition of a graph is unique. However, a graph can have many year decompositions, as should be clear by our example. Right? We had lots of choices, but I made specific choices and constructed 1 year decomposition for the Peterson graph. Okay. So the question is, while there can be many year decompositions, is the length of the year decomposition, in other words, the value R, is that determined by the graph, or does that depend on the particular year decomposition you chose? Okay. So this is really the value R.
So, sir, for Peterson graph, length of the year decomposition is 5.
It depends on how you define the length. So I would say the length should be 6. Yeah, I would count the length to be 6.
Length to be 6 means basically length is basically the length of the sequence.
Right, length of the sequence is 6. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
And
Okay.
sir, what is the
Yeah.
statement that he made? That length of year decomposition is basically
Right. So the length of the year decomposition, does it depend on the graph G or does it not depend on the graph G? Can you get two different year decompositions with a different lengths for the same graph?
okay. Okay.
Okay. I'll write it more formally on Piazza, but that is basically the essence of Kapil's question.
But Kapil said that it is basically equal to dimension of cycle space of G.
Right. Right. He's saying there is a specific number. Yeah.
Okay, so if his claim is true, then we can say that it doesn't depend on the. It only depends on the graph G.
That's right.
It
Does
only
not
depends.
depend on the specific decomposition you have chosen.
Okay. Means whatever year decomposition we take for any fixed graph G, it will have the same length.
That's right. That is what he's saying.
Sequence will be
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. Right? Okay, good. So, what is the main theorem of today? The main theorem is the following, the year decomposition theorem, which is basically putting propositions 5.6 and 5.7 together. Every non-separable graph G admits an year decomposition. Is that a correct statement or do we need to exclude some graphs? You need all your graphs to have cycles, right? So do we need to exclude some examples or is this correct?
Sir, I have a question. So when you say
Yeah,
that G is non-separable, do we assume by definition that G is connected?
right. It is connected. Non-separable graph by definition is connected.
Non-separable graph by definition is connected. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Anything means non-separable, separable, they are by definition connected.
No, separable. Um, well, if a graph is not non-separable, then it is separable. So separable graph is not connected. Disconnected graphs are separable graphs.
Okay, disconnected graphs are separable graphs. Okay.
Yeah.
Means
Okay, so
basically
a
what
separable graph can either be disconnected or it can be a connected graph that has a separating vertex. Both of those are separable graphs.
okay, so what I'm trying to say is if G has suppose G has exactly two components, G1 and G2,
Hmm.
and both G1 and G2 they are non-separable,
Hmm.
then can we say that G is separable?
Yes, G is separable. It has
But
to be connected in order to be non-separable. If your graph is disconnected, then by definition it is separable.
okay, if the graph is disconnected by definition it is separable. And if the graph is connected, then if it is not non-separable, then it will be separable.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, do we need to exclude some graphs here, or is it true for all graphs?
Sir, I think I can prove it. It is indeed equal to the dimension of cycle space.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. So
Like,
discuss on Piazza, it's fine.
accepting that G must have at least two edges.
Right,
K1 and
exactly.
K2 there will be exception because they don't have two edges.
Right. So we'll remove K1 and K2 because they don't have a cycle. And for the clear decomposition, we need to start with a cycle. Right? Okay? So we'll just remove K1 and K2. And this follows immediately from the previous propositions 5.7 and 5.8. Okay?
And also we can say that the graph G must be loopless.
Well, if it has a loop, then it is this graph, and the ear decomposition is this graph itself. So this is your
I'm saying
G0, this is your
G has at least two edges. If G has at least two edges, then G must be
right.
loopless. Because otherwise G cannot be non-separable.
That we have already discussed. Any non-separable graph, except for this graph, is actually loopless. Right? Okay. Good. So does everybody follow this theorem statement? For any non-separable graph, you can start from a cycle, you can keep adding years, and you will get your final graph. And every graph in your sequence will be a non-separable subgraph of the original graph. That is part of the definition of ear decomposition. Okay? So if you're trying to prove something by induction on non-separable graphs, then this is one way to do it. You remove one ear, you will get a smaller non-separable graph. And then you try to prove the thing by induction. So there is always an ear you can remove and get a smaller non-separable graph, unless your graph is a cycle, in which case that is your base case. Okay? So I want to make one last remark, and then we will continue in the next lecture. In fact, you can do something slightly stronger. You can take slightly stronger statement. This also follows from propositions 5.7 and 5.8. You can take any non-separable subgraph H of your big graph of a non-separable graph G, and you can find an ear decomposition in which H will be one of the subgraphs. We may build an ear decomposition containing H. What do I mean by containing H? I mean that if this is your sequence G0, G1, G2, blah, 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 up to GR, then the graph H will appear somewhere. Okay? So for example, for the Peterson graph, yeah, go
So
ahead.
basically the ear decomposition, so G0 to GR is the ear decomposition of G.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. This is an ear decomposition of G. Yeah, sorry. Ear decomposition of G. containing the graph H.
Containing H means H will be an element of the sequence.
That's right. H will be an element of the sequence. Okay. So you can start from any non-separable graph and you can complete the ER decomposition of G by applying one of the propositions. And then you can find an ER decomposition of H. And that is how you can construct your sequence. Okay. So this can also be helpful sometimes. It's a slightly stronger version than the previous statement. Okay. Good. So in the next lecture, we will see an application of block decomposition and ER decompositions to solve an interesting problem. I might actually give it on a try it yourself, but we will discuss it next time. So an application of block decomposition and ER decompositions. In fact, I'll tell you what it is. Characterize all graphs without even cycles. Remember, our first theorem was a graph is bipartite if and only if it does not have an odd cycle. So in other words, bipartite graphs can be viewed as a characterization of graphs without odd cycles. In the same spirit, now I want to discuss graphs without even cycles. Turns out to be a much simpler problem if you use the block decomposition in ER decomposition theory. Okay? Good. All right, that is the end of the lecture. Since we are at the end of the time anyways. So if there are any questions or concerns, please stay back. And I'll probably stop recording here.
Sir, can you show proposition 5.7?
Yeah. This one.